This is Let's Make a Game. Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you the website Artbreeder. The link to that site should be in the description. If not, it's, as you might expect, artbreeder.com. When you go there, if you haven't got an account with it already, you'll just see the screen that I'm on at the moment, which is really just a sort of quick blurb about all the different features that it has. To do anything useful, you probably want to make an account, which is an option in the top right hand corner here. It's free to make an account, and free accounts can use quite a lot of the features. I think that most people who are using it for game making purposes will probably find a free account enough for their needs. But you can pay more and get access to more things. So I'm going to log in. I've already made an account, of course. By the way, don't bother emailing me on that email because it's no longer in use. It's just I still use it as a login for this site because I don't come here very often. This is what you'll first see, I think, once you make an account. This is a selection of featured pictures. So this would tend to be the sort of higher quality pictures in the opinions of most people. And this is one of those pages where you can scroll down forever. It'll keep loading new ones for you. And if you're not looking for anything in particular, if you're just sort of looking, it might be, this might be the best way to do it. Just scroll down until you find something that is interesting and then say, all right, I'm going to save that and make it part of my game. So let's say, for example, we find this devil creature interesting. You click on the picture and you get it in isolation. You can click on it to get a larger version, and then you just save image as. And really, I think that size is going to be more than big enough. In fact, you'd probably want to shrink it rather than grow it. But with a free account, you do get a certain number of high resolution downloads, which are obviously even bigger still. Let's go back to that one. You can also see under each picture, you can see sort of the previous versions of it, and you might go, oh, well, actually that one's more, that one's more what I was thinking of, so I'll use that instead. But let's say we want this one. Well, we can, underneath the picture, there's a sort of download logo. There's a heart and a hashtag. Hashtag lets you add a description. So for this, you might put demon if no one else had put it before, and that just means that if you search for demon, anyone who searches for demon will get this in the results. But anyway, so we click download in the middle, and that means that in future, if we go to our image downloads, we'll see that we can't do it yet because it takes a while to process into a higher resolution version. But here's one that I did earlier, little cute monster, and as you can see, it's bigger than the normal size, and you get I don't know exactly how many of those you get a month, but you get a certain amount. But as I say, I don't think you really need to be that big for most games. But there are lots of different categories. Every picture is in one of these categories. Anime portraits might be of interest to some people. Furries might be of interest to some people. That's sort of furry animals, I suppose. Albums is record album covers, or sort of pseudo record album covers. Probably not terribly useful for most games. Characters sounds like it would be interesting, but it's full body pictures, and sometimes they're not the best quality compared to some other things. And so on. Landscapes and buildings might be of use for environments, of course. But I think the one that's going to be of most interest is portraits. I don't want to show you every single feature of this. It's a big site and you could spend a lot of time on here. I think portraits will be most useful. So portraits are this scale. They're head and neck, basically. pictures. And again, you can just scroll and see what you find, you know, save stuff that you find interesting. But you can also search. Let's say I want an elf. All right, I want a picture of an elf. I mean, what you get is every picture that anyone has ever tagged as being elf-like. I mean, this particular guy, does he look like an elf? Not in my opinion. But on the other hand, this guy does, you know. And that's sort of what I would think of an elf as looking like, I suppose. So we can scroll down here and find one. And we might find one that's almost... Oh, my Lord. That's hideous. We might find one that's almost right. And this is, I think, one of the unique and interesting features of Artbreeder, and that is that you can, what they call remix the pictures. Let's say we look at this one and think, well, that's fine, but he's a little bit blandly handsome. I want someone who's a bit more weathered. So we can choose to remix in Splicer. It's the green option underneath the picture. And what we get is a series of different attributes. Each of the attributes has a slider, and we can move the slider up and down and it will slightly change things. So for example, he's got a sort of hint of an earring there I don't really like, or an earring doesn't fit my perception of the character, so I'm just going to slide that down a bit, and eventually we should find that his earring disappears. It also makes other changes. It's not always... the result isn't always what you might think. Like in this case, it got rid of his earring eventually, but it also kind of made him look a bit older. But you've just got to experiment. But let's say I changed my mind about that, so I can just X that, or you can also reset. You can reset, and it just goes back to where it was. Let's say I want him to have bigger earrings. Absolutely. So it's sort of made him look more feminine as well. It's given him a more prominent earring, but it's also made him look more feminine. Or let's say I want to change the direction that he's looking in. I can do that with these size rotation. They slightly change the way that slightly change the size of the face, and also you can slightly change the it looks a bit like Leonardo DiCaprio, doesn't it? I can make him look, it changes expression. Let's say I want him to have bluer eyes, so I'll do that. And I want it to be a bit more out of focus and a bit more dark. That's probably a bit too much. And I don't know what this art one does. It's supposed to make it look more like a painting, and I suppose, yeah, no, I can see, I don't know if you can see this in the video, but the sort of brush strokes are a little bit thicker, and so it's a bit more obviously a painting. Some of the pictures really look like photos, and some of them look like they're definitely art. Let's say I want him to look a bit older as well. I want him to look a bit more weather beaten. There we go. So now, as you can see, that's quite different to, that's what the original might look like in 500 years, and perhaps that's more what I'm after. So I can tick on that, and then I scroll down, and that's one of my pictures, and we can I can do the same things as I did before. I can download it in high resolution, or I can just click on it and save. There's quite a lot more to Artbreeder. They've added a few. They keep adding sort of extra features, but as I say, for the purposes of getting art for a game, those are probably the main things that you're going to be using, and using the assumption that you're not going to get a paid account. Those are probably the most useful features, and it's still a bit of a it still can be a bit of a time sink. You can still spend hours kind of tweaking your landscapes or your people to get them exactly right. So that's all I'm going to go into. It's not all there is to it. You can combine two different pictures and get as long as they're in the same category, and get a different person. That's, you can see the sort of history of this picture. Obviously, someone combined these two pictures to make this one. But that's all I'm going to, that's enough to get started, and that's probably what you'll spend most of your time doing. So in the next video, having sort of gotten our artwork, I'm going to show you a little bit about how we can crop it and edit it. So I hope that you will tune in for that. And thank you for watching and listening.